We all know what a front door is, right? It's how you get into your home, you lock it to keep things safe. Simple. But what about your digital life? Every single device you own is a potential front door. And in this explainer, we're going to talk about exactly how to guard them.
Seriously, just stop and think about it for a second. Your phone, your laptop, maybe your smart TV, your watch, each one is a door. Are you absolutely positive every single one is locked up tight? Because with every new gadget we add to our lives, that question gets a whole lot more complicated and way more important to answer.
And that right there is the key. It's not just about your main computer anymore, not by a long shot. Every single device that connects to a network is a potential entry point for someone you don't want getting in, a front door to your most sensitive info.
Okay, so let's start by just taking inventory. Before we can even talk about locking these doors, we kind of need to figure out how many we actually have. This whole collection of doors is what we call the attack surface, and it all begins with understanding what an endpoint actually is.
As you can see, the definition is incredibly broad. And honestly, that's the whole point. An endpoint isn't just your trusty old computer. No way. It's any piece of hardware that talks on a network. And in just the last decade, the list of what that includes has absolutely exploded.
Let's build this picture. It all really starts in the data center, with the servers. These are the heavy lifting workhorses running all our apps and storing our data. Most of us never see them, they're managed by a special IT team, but they are the foundational endpoints, the very first set of doors we need to lock down.
From there, we add the devices we're all super familiar with, the classic desktops and laptops. This is where most of our day-to-day work gets done, where all our important files live. And just like that, the number of potential front doors has already multiplied.
Next up, let's bring in the devices that are practically attached to us, our phones and our tablets. What makes these so different is that they're always on the move. They're constantly jumping between networks, from the secure Wi-Fi at work to that free, kind of sketchy hotspot at the coffee shop, which dramatically increases the number of places our data is exposed.
And this is where the picture gets really complex. Welcome to the Internet of Things, or IoT. We're talking about smart security cameras, connected refrigerators, fitness trackers, all these things we don't really think of as computers, but they are. They have processors, and they're on the network. Every single one is yet another potential door.
Now, what's so wild about all this is that we use all these devices for everything. That laptop you use for work? Yep, you also use it for personal banking. That phone you scroll social media on? You're also using it to check work emails. This has completely erased the old line between a work device and a personal device. That boundary, it's pretty much a work of fiction now. And this quote just nails the core problem, doesn't it? With all these different devices running different operating systems, all being used for different things, we've created this massive, sprawling, and incredibly complex digital world for ourselves. And that complexity is a security nightmare. Why? Because every new device adds to the attack surface, giving an attacker one more door to try and open. So, how do we possibly manage this explosion of digital doors? How do we go from total chaos to some semblance of control? Well, it takes a pretty big shift in how we think about this, moving away from managing individual devices to using a single, unified approach.
Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got the typical situation. It's chaos. One person handles servers, someone else does laptops, a third person manages phones, and oh yeah, nobody is really managing the IoT stuff. It's a mess, and it's full of security gaps. The best practice, on the right, is all about unity. One system, one screen to see and control everything. The idea is simple. You can't protect what you can't see, and you can't control what you don't manage. Visibility and central control are everything.
Okay, so what does a system like this actually do? What are the specific moves it can make to lock down all those different doors? Let's open up the playbook. A unified system gives you a central playbook of security controls. Let's take automated patching, for example. So many attacks exploit vulnerabilities that already have a fix available. Automating the patching process basically slams that door shut before an attacker can even try the handle. Or what about data encryption? By forcing it on every device, you make sure that even if a laptop gets stolen, the data on it is just a bunch of unreadable gibberish to a thief. It's all about applying these basic protections consistently, everywhere, with no exceptions. And here's one of the most critical tools in the whole box, the remote wipe. If a device gets lost or stolen, boom, you can remotely delete all the sensitive corporate data. Now, what's really cool about modern systems is they can do a selective wipe. That means they can remove all the company emails and files while leaving your personal family photos completely untouched. Pretty amazing, right?
This all becomes incredibly relevant when we start talking about bring your own device, or BYOD. This is the reality in most companies today. And let me tell you, it presents a huge challenge.
When it comes to BYOD, you really only have two choices. You either have a poorly defined program or a well-defined one. There is no third option of just saying no. Because if the official rule is no, you know what happens? Users will just find their own, totally insecure workarounds. They'll find a how, no matter what. So the best path forward is to create a well-defined program that gives them a secure and easy way to connect.
And a good program is all about being crystal clear. You start by getting user consent and explaining exactly what you're doing. You set clear rules about which apps are required and which are forbidden. You specify what hardware you'll actually support, because you can't support everything. And you authorize specific cloud services for company data. At the end of the day, it's about setting clear, reasonable guardrails that protect the company while still letting people get their work.
And here is the crucial takeaway. Modern security isn't about being the department of no anymore. It's about enabling people to work effectively and securely. It's about shifting the whole conversation from, you can't do that, to, okay, here's how you can do that safely. When you make the secure way the easy way, people will choose it every single time. Which brings us right back to where we started. Every device is a front door. In a world with countless endpoints, from servers in a data center to the smartwatch on your wrist, just hoping they're secure isn't a strategy. The only question left is, how are you guarding yours?